Hey everyone, welcome to SoundSofa, the channel where we review music, do skits and much more. So you can join us by liking, subscribing and hitting that bell icon to stay notified of when we upload new videos. We do have a new skit in the works, so it will be our very first skit. It should be out in the next week or so, depending on how things go. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But otherwise, let's get right into it with our new review, Indie Rock.
Welcome to episode 3 of our indie rock genre reviews. This is our third and final indie rock review. So in the meantime, we thought we'd leave you with a couple of notable mentions of indie rock artists that you might want to listen to in the meantime. But that being said, we may very well come back to this genre in future and continue doing reviews of the artists. So for episode 3, the suggestion that Luke had for the indie rock artist was King Krule, and the album is 6 Feet Beneath the Moon. And what I suggested was Alt J's An Awesome Wave. So without further ado, let's get into it. Luke.
Right. So right off the bat, as usual, favorite song. Just a quick side note. I have heard some of these songs before. I was first introduced to this band a while ago, but I was never really delved too deeply into it. So automatically, for me, it's Breeze Blocks, and I think for most people, it'll be Breeze Blocks. You know, that's their, I think it's most listened to song. But
although since Tik Tok, I think it's Left Hand Free.
Okay, yeah. There are actually
a
couple from this album that I hadn't listened to before that I'd heard in other social TikTok and Instagram being used, and I recognize the voice, but okay.
Yeah, but it's definitely.
Yeah, Breeze Blocks by default, but through listening to this album, discovered some new ones. My other personal favorite was Dissolve Me. Yes, yeah, I quite like Dissolve Me. For me it was the tempo changes from sort of quick and upbeat segments to more slow, melodic, him just humming along.
That song to me is, I have a spiritual connection with that song. It literally, exactly what you're saying, how it goes fast and then it becomes almost like this ethereal sound that he does, and the with the music as well. It's good.
I also wanted to note Joe Newman's vocals on this track were kind of infectious and brought me to a nostalgic place that it was reminiscent of the effect Breeze Blocks had for me, because that was the first alt J song I was introduced to, and I used to crush that song constantly. There's one part in the song which I was going to pull up, but we can put it in the video in post-production, that literally every night in grade 9 when I first heard it, I was like, this shit touches my soul.
So deep.
So I found that sort of connection with the song, what reminded me of my sort of relationship with Breeze Blocks. It had a very similar vibe to me. That's what I got for my favorite tracks. My least favorite song, I'd have to say, is Intro. And I know I've said that the intro of A Black Mile to the Surface was also my least favorite. And I think from now on I'm going to start excluding interludes and intros as tracks. Unless they're really good and I want to highlight that they're good. Otherwise, we'll just kind of, it's an add-on, it's an extra. But to me it was just a bit boring. It sounded very much to me like a royalty-free song you'd kind of find while browsing through YouTube to find some royalty-free shit. Then moving on to my scores. Lyrical score, I gave a 7.5. I love the vocals, but Joe Newman's voice, every now and then it gets a bit silly and funny to me. I don't know.
No, that's fine.
I'm trying to think. I think it's Fitz Pleasure where it really it got a bit much for me. But in the same song there was also segments I really liked. Musical score, love the songwriting, love how I love the arrangements of the song, so I gave it an 8.5, which brings my overall score of the album to a solid 8.3. And that's very, I wanted to be a bit different, so I made it
that's pretty good.
Moving on to some general comments I had about the album. I have a soft spot for Alt J personally. They were one of the first groups my friend Neo introduced to me, and Neo and me sort of we developed our musical tastes around each other. Because I moved to this side of the world when I was in grade 9, and we were still like fleshing out our music tastes and showing each other new things. So I've got a very strong emotional tie to them, but I haven't explored them to the extent that I would have liked to have at this point. Listening to the album, I realized I never really appreciated how emotive their sound could be. Besides Breeze Blocks, which I obviously have quite a strong, bond with. I actually overlooked some of the more mainstream songs that I saw circulating social media, like I mentioned earlier. Specifically on this album, I don't know if it's Miss or MS.
I think it's MS.
Is it MS? Sure. Okay.
Well, I think it's
and
MS.
Fitz Pleasure, and I kind of discredited them because I was a bit more immature when it came to music. Like, this is the mainstream. I'll avoid the mainstream. It's not cool. Not realizing that listening to LJ in the first place was relatively mainstream. But now that I've matured a bit, I find myself enjoying the sound a lot more. Another thing that really grabbed me about the album was that this is LJ's debut album. So for it to be such a polished and realized sound was quite mind blowing for me.
Yeah. Just on that.
Yeah.
Apparently they were still busy with their university studies as well.
Oh, serious?
While they were recording and producing this album.
Wow.
So just on top of the fact that it's their first album, they were still in the midst of studying, which to me is mind-blowing.
Yeah, props to them for that. One criticism I had for the album overall, I mentioned earlier, Joe Newman's voice, I'm still sort of on the fence about, because while I love it and it is extremely unique, at times it can be a bit overbearing. Otherwise, solid album, really enjoyed it. Then moving on to, will I playlist it? I would love to say yes, and I probably would say yes, but there are too many sort of interludes. Not that I don't like the interludes, but it's like if I was to playlist this entire album, I would have to slide through some,
or like you'd have to stop whatever you're doing and skip.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I'd say I'd playlist about 70-80% of the album.
Okay.
I'm not fully going to playlist it though, but I will playlist it. So this is a bit of a weird one for me.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to hit me with some facts about the album.
Yeah, so just some context for me as well. This album, I first heard Breeze Blocks, and that was also, I was in about grade 8 or so, and that was the first song that truly set me on the path of changing and exploring music and changing my perception of music, because I had a very specific, this is what I've listened to, so this is what I'm going to keep listening to.
Yeah.
But when I heard Alt J's Breeze Blocks, it really changed my perception of music, and that's when I really started delving into, okay, what do I actually enjoy?
Yeah.
What are other genres out there? Because Alt J in itself encapsulates so many genres, which I'll actually get into later. But this album really defined what is potentially out there in terms of different genres and music, and so it really, for me, same as that song with you, it's got a strong emotional connection, because essentially all my enjoyment of music can be traced directly back to
LJ. Wow.
So it's quite profound.
I don't know about you, but also the music video they did for Breeze Blocks was like one of the most, at the time, one of the greatest music videos I've ever seen. I don't know, I really enjoyed the music video. That also added a lot of
the cinematography, I must say, in a lot of their music videos is also they spend a lot of time on that, which is nice. It's a full artistic expression and experience, which is.
For me, my favorite LJ song is like a very, very, very close tie between Dead Crush and In Cold Blood, which has got the Iggy Pop narration in the beginning and followed with the field mouse. Really good stuff. So sorry, I've interrupted you.
No, that's awesome. So just some general facts about the album. An Awesome Wave is the debut album by the English indie rock band Alt J, released on the 25th of May 2012 through Infectious. It peaked at number 13 on the UK album chart and also charted in Belgium, France, Netherlands and Switzerland. An Awesome Wave won the 2012 British Barclaycard Mercury Prize and in 2013 was named Album of the Year at the Ivor Novello Awards. The title is a reference to a quote from the 2000 American-Canadian film American Psycho.
Is it really? Holy
Indeed.
shit. I don't know, that's very surprising to me. That those two are in any way linked.
Yeah. So this for me, I only found this out recently because I thought Alt J was sort of a term for like alternative jazz.
Oh, you...
Yeah, this is what I discovered.
Okay.
Is Alt J and their symbol triangle comes from the key sequence used to generate the symbol for a triangle on Apple Mac computer, Alt plus J. That blew my mind.
That was one of the earlier things. It's just because I followed a lot of music pages and it's like, hey, did you know this? And then I tried it on mine. It wasn't a Mac. It was Windows and it didn't work and I was quite disappointed.
Fair enough.
No.
What really is also quite interesting is the album artwork, which we'll show in post, for An Awesome Wave, is a multi-layered radar image of the Ganges River Delta in Bangladesh and India.
Oh, okay.
So it's like at different seasons, and so that's why it's got that like overlaid look to it.
You know what I thought it was?
Different colours, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen those videos where they like grow bismuth crystals.
Yes.
I thought that's what it, like that was the sort of the surface.
I thought it was oil, like you know, the sheen.
The shimmer.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's very interesting.
So the lineup includes Joe Newman, Tom Sonny Green, and Gus Unger Hamilton, and formerly contained Will Sainsbury as well.
Okay. So it was
it was a group of 4 and now it's a group of 3.
Okay.
Alt J has been said to have a blend of pop, electronica, jazz, indie, dubstep, metal, folk, hip-hop, chillwave, and alternative rock.
No, it's a fusion of jazz and funk. It's called junk.
I need to dig a bit deeper to
So
find some of those.
I think we definitely need to go searching.
Yeah.
I feel like dubstep I haven't seen. So
Metal,
I'm not sure. Metal also.
I kind of get the more hardcore elements, like, but not
really.
metal. Yeah.
But yes, the rest I can kind of see.
Yeah.
And then something just interesting, which I think is commendable about Alt J, is that the band does not believe in charging for meet and greets. And they said that a great reason not to do it is that politicians do.
Ooh.
And I thought that was
Love
fantastic.
that.
So yeah, that's just some additional information.
Wonderful. Okay, now Aiden, you will move on swiftly to 6 Feet Beneath the Moon by King Krule, or Archie Marshall, as some may refer to him.
My favorite song from the album is A Lizard State.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. I think because I really like Arctic Monkeys, and to me that song had a sound because it's the British vocalist with the specific strumming and timing, which is reminiscent of Arctic Monkeys. So I just really enjoyed that song, and it was quite different to the rest of the album, which I like that about the song.
Which is funny because your argument for I think it was Mac DeMarco and Black Country New Road was the one that stuck out like a sore thumb you didn't enjoy.
I think the reason for that is for the Mac DeMarco's case, that song, his lyrics and his vocal performance was quite out there. Whereas this one, it's not that it's like extravagant and experimental, it's just that it's slightly different to the rest of the album.
Okay.
So it's not like way out there and experimental. It's just slightly different to the norm.
So then it's the same argument for the Black Country one because it's so it's too, like you said, avant-garde for.
I think. But again, that's a personal thing. Okay, so my least favorite song is Has This Hit. I find the lyrics to kind of be a little bit annoying. And I also found his screaming vocals in that song were quite overpowering compared to the instrumental. So it was just like I felt like shouted at.
Yeah.
Also, he did this rhyming thing where he specifically rhymed a motif, and he kept harping on about it. And I just felt it didn't work.
Okay.
personally for that song. Interestingly enough, though, he does the same thing in the song Sentimentality, and in that song I found it
It
did
works.
work.
Okay.
But I think it's got to do with how the song is structured and the overall energy of the song. For Sentimentality, it's kind of like a blue, jazzy feel, so he's more talking than singing. So then the rhyming of that motif kind of works a bit more. Whereas I found for Has This Hit, it just, I don't know, it kind of fell flat.
It didn't hit.
It did not hit.
Ooh, right.
Well played.
I kind of regret giving you 6 Feet Beneath the Moon, just because out of personal preference, I much prefer the Ooze, because that's got possibly my number 1 song of all time. SoundSofa on it, and that when you were speaking about the jazz and blues, I'm like, oh, that was big. But in future reviews, I'll find another genre where I can stick Archie in.
Yeah, definitely. So lyrical score, I gave it a 6.5.
That's fair. I do not dispute that.
I kind of felt like, I don't know, I didn't look a lot of information up about the artist, but I feel like he must have been quite young when he wrote this.
Oh, that's one of the things I'm going to bring up.
Okay, cool. Because I feel like it was just very
not
simple
deep. Yeah.
and kind of not immature, but not a matured lyricist. So that was just, it didn't, the lyrics, and also in addition to that, I also struggled to hear a lot of what he was saying, because the way that he sang the lyrics kind of, it was difficult. Yeah, it was
quite out there for a debut album.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's just I couldn't really hear what he was saying, so it made it a bit difficult to hear. And so with that's why I went with 6.5.
I feel like only on tracks like Neptune Estate, where it's a bit more like low-key and chill, can you really hear what he's saying?
Yeah, even with Sentimentality, I really enjoyed the lyrics of that, because it was a little bit more concise and like it was slowed down a little bit.
Easier to follow.
And there were some clever lyrics with that, which I really enjoyed.
Okay.
Musical score, I gave it an 8.5.
Yes.
I really liked it. What was nice is I listened to it while driving and with headphones on, and there's a lot of things that they've thrown in the background. Like there was one song, I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head now, but they were like Star Wars, like
phaser,
exactly.
Lasers, sorry.
Yeah, the laser gun sounds, which was quite cool, which I didn't hear when I first listened to it. So there's a lot of quite interesting production things that they did, which was quite nice to hear. It made it interesting. It kept me wanting to go back to listen to see if I could find other things about it. But so overall I gave the musical score an 8.5.
Just with the on mentioning those laser sounds, he did have other aliases when he was younger, and one of them was Edgar the Beatmaker, and I feel like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
that's where the influence sort of comes from.
Yeah. And then I gave an overall score of a flat 8.
Flat 8.
Yeah. I thought it was very good.
That's a bit generous, actually.
No, I think it was a very good album. And so just some general comments. Like I said, I struggled to hear what he was saying because of the vocals. And I found with the vocals, the way that he did that, like you said, outlandish thing with his vocals, it came off a little bit flat when he was singing. So it was a bit off key almost, which personally I don't like that sort of dissonance.
It almost sounds sometimes like he's had a bottle of whiskey or something.
It does, and then he decided to go into the studio. Yeah, and then just interestingly, while listening to the album, his vocals kept reminding me of Lil Peep. That's what,
Okay.
So I don't know what that was about, but definitely I got kind of stoner vibes from the album. And also just with the production, I found that with some of the tracks, his vocals had way too much reverb on it, and it just made it difficult to concentrate and enjoy the music of those songs, because the reverb was just a bit overpowering. But that's nothing major. That's just a very pedantic
Side note.
side note. So overall, will I playlist it? Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool.
I even throughout the week, I found myself rather going back to listening to that album than listening to other things, like for example while driving. So I definitely will playlist it.
Okay.
Enjoyed it a lot.
I'll Sweet.
Cool.
Okay.
Now I'm interested to hear what.
So I've pulled some small tidbits together. We'll just brush over the main facts from the web. So 6 Feet Beneath the Moon is the debut studio album, so we've both done debuts this week, by English singer and songwriter Archie Marshall under the stage name of King Krule. It was released on the 24th of August 2013, which is King Krule's 19th birthday. It was released in North America by True Panther Sounds and in the rest of the world by XL Recordings. Zane Lowe, who you may have heard of, he's he's popular in the music scene, I guess. He's very well known for his interviews with artists. So Zane Lowe of BBC Radio 1 premiered Neptune Estate on his show on the 12th of August 2013, which was a little bit before the debut. On the 14th of August, the album was made available to stream in full on King Krule's website with live CCTV footage of various London streets accompanying each track.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's just the quick facts. Now some interesting little facts I pulled up. So Out Getting Ribs, one of the more popular tracks on the album, one of my more personal favorites, was actually written by Archie when he was only 17 years old. So before the rest of the album was written, he'd written Out Getting Ribs. When he was asked about the meaning of the album title, Archie said, "The moon follows you home and looks over you all day. I've always been obsessed with it, I've always been haunted by it, I've always loved it, and I've always hated it. It's symbolism for a lot of different things for me. On the first record, it was a symbol of aspiration, and the moon was something to look up to. But the meaning has kind of changed for me now, and now I see the moon as something that always follows you, something comforting that's constantly with you." Yeah.
Sure, that's interesting.
Yeah. So he's sort of got a bit of a personal connection with the moon. Good for him. So he's gone by quite a few monikers over his life, most notably Edgar the Beatmaker and Zoo Kid before he decided on King Krule. So a fun bit of trivia. He entered a competition to perform at Glastonbury Festival in 2008 at age 14, and he actually won. You are able to view his audition tape for it online. It's very, very
That's
sweet.
amazing. We'll link it down.
Yeah, you guys can check that out if you are interested. It's very wholesome, but you can see even in like his young age, the roots of his sound today are very apparent. They're there. Yeah, and that's about all that I'd like to say for 6 Feet Beneath the Moon. As I've said, he was very young when he wrote it, so it debuted when he was 19. Not quite the mature songwriter we know today.
Yeah, I definitely want to give some of his other stuff more attention. I haven't delved deep into his music at all, really.
Yeah, I don't want to say I've given you the worst album, but
I honestly enjoyed it. I think it's a great intro into his music.
I actually spoke to Neo about it. We both agreed like this was not the hardest one to get through, but we couldn't really, when we listened to it and get through a full listen.
I'll be honest, the first time through, I did have to kind of stop halfway, take a break, and then continue.
Yeah.
And just on that, I found overall the second half of the album I enjoyed a bit more than the first half. I don't know, it sort of seemed to gel a bit better. So the second half that I listened to, that was much easier to just run through.
I will say he's gotten a lot of praise on his new album, Space Heavy. I've listened to bits of it, but I was never really in the right headspace to listen to it. A lot of people really rate it as some of his like best work. So definitely worth investing a little bit of time into. might not have given the best recommendation, but it's definitely a starting point.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
I was happy with it, so
Cool. I'm glad it was a pleasant experience for you.
thanks for joining us on our review of episode 3. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a comment. And we will be posting a poll of the next genre that we want to review, some ideas, so please go and vote for that and give us any suggestions. And please do comment on the video if you have any other suggestions of indie rock artists that you enjoy, that we can engage with you about that. And yeah, we look forward to the next video and we'll see you there.